Welcome to the Warriors of the Promised Land weapon construction tutorial. We are going to make a level 1 sword. This is the sword we're going to make. We'll start with 1/2 inch PVC pipe, add to that a swim noodle with a hollow core, medium grade sandpaper, a retractable razor blade, and tape, duct tape, and cloth tape, either athletic or hockey tape. We are also going to use 100% silicone caulk and spray adhesive, 3M Super 77. Okay, let's get started. We're going to measure this sword out at 30 inches. So, measure 30 inches on your PVC. You can use a number of things to cut PVC, a jigsaw or a hacksaw, any saw with small enough teeth. Once it's cut, we're going to sand the edges. Use the medium coarse sandpaper to sand both sides and even the length of the PVC. This really helps with adhesion. After you've done that, wipe the whole pipe off with a clean cloth. This one doesn't look clean, but it is. Now we're going to do a very important step. We're going to cap the PVC. To do this, we're going to use a penny, and we're going to tape it in place on both sides. Don't skip this step. Take the penny and carefully center it on the top of the PVC. Take the duct tape and tape it down. Follow these steps. Tape each length side down, and now do the shorter sides one at a time, pushing in like this and on the other side, and then wrap it like you would a Christmas present. Fold it over like this. Now, why are we taking so much care and time to secure this? One, of course, we want to make sure that the penny is, in fact, secure on your cap. Two, you're going to be pushing these ends through a very narrow opening on the swim noodle. And the neater your taping job is, the easier it will be to push it through. That looks beautiful. Now, let's cut the swim noodle. To do this, we'll use our retractable razor blade and we'll cut it at 28 inches. That's beautiful. Now, to help secure the foam and the PVC, we're going to use 100% silicone caulk. Put a thin layer about a foot down from the top of your PVC core. You can put a little extra around the very top. What's great about silicone is it will adhere fantastically, but before it dries, it also acts as a lubricant. So, when you put the PVC core through, don't just push, twist and push to make sure you don't tear the inside of the swim noodle. Once you've pushed it all the way through, except for about 1 inch at the top, now it's time to cut the bottom part. We're going to cut about 3 inches off for the pommel. Yes, we could have cut this off before we put the swim noodle on, but this way we've already got the silicone caulk on, and it's just a matter of sliding it. Again, this part is called the pommel, and it needs to be protected as well. We've got about a 3/4 inch gap there between the PVC and the end of the foam, and about 1 inch there. That's good. Now we need a little more space on the handle. Once we tape it, we won't have quite that much room for my hand, so we're going to cut about 1 inch off of the foam. We'll also use this foam to help to fill in the holes at the top and the bottom of our sword. Now this looks like a cooking show. Cut a little piece off, not quite 1/4. Take this piece, and we're going to push it into the opening on top. To secure it in place, we'll use 100% silicone caulk. By the way, it doesn't matter what brand you use. Silicone caulk is a great adhesive. Don't pile it in there, but put enough in there that it'll hold everything in place. Don't skimp. All right, now we've got that little plug in place. We're going to let that dry. Meanwhile, we'll go and do the pommel side. We've cut another little piece, and after we get whatever that piece of goo is that's on my pommel, okay, in it goes. Now, it doesn't quite fit all the way. Now, we could either pull the pommel out a little further, or, in this case, we'll just trim it off. Hooray for razor blades. Now let's talk about foam. This is open-celled foam. It absorbs water like a sponge and it's very soft. This is the kind of foam you would use in couch cushions. It's easy to find, not very good for building weapons. This is a high-density open-celled foam. You can get it at Joann Fabrics and other stores. That is very good for using. And this is the highest density open-cell foam I've ever found. It's very intense, it's got a gray color, great for building weapons if you can find it. This is closed-cell foam. You can find it in camp pads. The blue one is very common in Walmart in the camping section. This does not absorb water. It's very firm, excellent surface for weapons and shields. This is another camp pad. It's only 3/8 inch thick as opposed to the blue, which was 1/2 inch thick. Both are good foams to use. Now, we've left the sword overnight. The glue is dried, it feels great. We're going to cap off the top. Now, you could either do it this way by taking duct tape and capping off the top to add a little extra strength to the plug that we've put in the very top. Or in this case, we're going to use the closed cell foam from a camp pad. If you're building a shield, you're going to have leftover anyway. So grab the piece of foam and use spray adhesive, a fair amount, on both that and the sword, and wait for a couple minutes, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes till it gets really tacky, and then put them together. You spray each surface. When it's tacky, you combine them. It's nice and strong. Now we'll just use the knife to trim the excess, flush with the end of the sword. This gives us a very strong and effective cap on the end, an extra safety precaution. You could stop the sword right at this point and just do the taping, but for our purposes, we're going to add a little extra padding so that you can poke people with it. We're using open-celled foam, the high-density foam. This used to be a 2-inch thick piece of foam. I've cut it in half, so it's about 1 inch on each side. We've sprayed it with spray adhesive and waited until it got tacky, and then attached it to the top. Now we'll do the same thing we just did. Use our razor blade and cut. Now, because of the tacky spray adhesive, it makes it a little bit harder to cut, but we'll get it. Even if it's not the most beautiful job of cutting, don't worry. Open-celled foam conforms very nicely to shapes, and we'll be using tape to cover the whole thing.